Okay, so this is something new. I don't usually do segments like this, but I decided I was going to go over some Reddit posts. I figured I would start with QAnon casualties because that sounded interesting. I think that I've heard of this roughly. It's about people who they're posting about their QAnon relatives, right? We're going to keep this short because I got a debate coming up, but we'll try to get through at least one or two. We'll just see what happens. And we'll just look for some interesting ones. This is one I already clicked on because it looked interesting. Seeking advice on telling other family members about Q husband. Now, my first instinct here is, why is your husband Q? Why is your husband a QAnon conspiracy theorist, right? For those who don't know, QAnon is like this whole thing about, it's like MAGA conspiracy posting, basically. That's all it is. And this guy named Q basically stirred up all this conspiracy nonsense about Q and how Trump is trying to take out the deep state, yada, yada, et cetera, et cetera. It poisoned people's minds irreversibly poisoned people's minds. So let's take a look. Seeking advice on telling other family members about Q husband. Background: married 22 years, have a mortgage and 2 boys, 17 and 21. Took me a while to recognize his narcissism, but I see it clearly now. Married for 22 years. Okay, so married, so this must have happened later on then. I have always referred to it as his bubble. He's fun and extroverted. People love him. That man is who everyone else gets to see. He is not the type to post his beliefs or talk about them with others, as it may cause damage to his reputation in the community. I can't imagine why. He's smart and recognizes that others may see his beliefs negatively and therefore think less of him. It's been 5-ish years since it started. It was slow and just him dropping little nuggets of info. I didn't even know what was happening. To date, he has around 10 conspiracy theories that he is 100% sure are the truth. The last year has been rough. I've tried everything. It has destroyed our marriage. Ouch. Man, party of family values. Am I right, folks? I am at my wit's end. He views our marriage failing as my fault. He's living with a crazy person. He has recently started dropping those little nuggets with our boys, and thankfully they react to it the same as I do. Thank God. To get to the point, the only thing I haven't done is share any of this with his family or close friends. Is that crossing a line? If it was a drug addiction, I would want him to have a support system, but as of now, I'm done. I think that you should try to share it with them, because like if they're not on board with the Q thing and they knew that he's doing this, like I would want my children to be able to come to me, or I guess my children-in-law, right? Like my daughter-in-law. If it were my son Q posting and conspiracy baiting and whatever the fuck else, I would want my daughter-in-law to come to me and say, hey, listen, I don't know if you knew this, but your son is doing X and Y. And I would pull him in and have a rough talk with him. And he is going to lose his sons too. It's just so sad, and I don't want to have regrets that I didn't try everything. Should they know? I say yes. I say yes, they should know. Absolutely. See some comments here. We'll sort by controversial. Not that we'll get a whole lot of controversy in this subreddit probably, but the only thing I haven't done is share any of this with his family or close friends. Is that crossing a line? It's fine, they know, but if one of them aligns with him, that's another problem for you to deal with. Unless it helps you, I would wait until you're further along with extricating yourself before bringing more people with potential to make things worse. I agree with that, actually. Are you going to divorce him? I ask because either way they will eventually discover this about him, because these conspiracists inevitably have to share their knowledge, and you might want to get ahead of the curve to avoid being seen as, if not complicit, then actually agreeing with him to outsiders. Oh, and dropping those little nuggets is how Qs groom their victims, and I know because I've seen it happen in real time. Yeah, that's a real thing. Conspiracy theorists love to like drop grains. They mix in. They have these little shit nuggets, and in the center of this shit nugget is a kernel of truth, and that truth is what holds the entire shit nugget together. And they just drop these on people to try to indoctrinate them. That's absolutely true. Mommy and Dad are getting a divorce. I have an attorney consultation in a few days. I'm preparing. Oh, this is OP. I'm preparing, but it doesn't make it any less shitty. I have no desire to shame him or out him in a vindictive way. I mean, I wouldn't either. Like, let's say that, like, my wife, for instance, started Q posting and shit. Like, I would just be mourning the person that I thought that I knew. Like, somebody who was completely different, like, 20 years ago, who is now, like, conspiracy posting and QAnon and whatever, and it's just... Man, that would be really shitty. Some dude said representation is a sign of low IQ. It's the opposite. Huh? Mental rigidity? Sorry, I don't know what you're saying. Anyway, we'll read this and then we'll leave it at that, and we'll try one more. You need to acknowledge to yourself that you have been married for 22 years, and because you have been keeping his Q belief secret, you are allowing him to dictate what others will believe when you divorce. It's no different than a woman who keeps the beatings her husband has given her secret for 20 years. I think think listen, it's not quite on the level of beating. We'll keep going. We'll see. And then everyone believes the abuser when he tells the world his victim is crazy. Okay, but like people are going to hear what he has to say, and they're going, like, hopefully they're the ones that call him crazy. Right? His is the only narrative because his victim has never provided a narrative. Yeah, but this is fundamentally different than a beating, right? I don't know. I don't know if I agree with this. I'm just going to leave it at that. We'll see what else we got. I feel like I'm in an old horror movie. Oh no. Okay, we'll do this one and then we'll call it. I feel like I'm in an old horror movie. Today I was fuming in bed after another very long day of listening to Fox News being blasted in my ears 24/7. Yeah, I've been there. And my dad carrying around his little radio listening to all those conservative talk shows at the same time. And then I realized my parents' minds have been replaced by a hive mind. Neither of them ever heard or listened to Charlie Kirk, but my mom ran into the house screaming and crying, "I hate those fucking Democrats," minutes after it happened when no one knew who had done it. You couldn't say one bad thing about Kirk or else my dad would stand up, fists at his side, trembling, and start screaming like Kirk was his own son. Holy shit. My brother, the only person who they allowed to have different opinions without flying into a rage, asked them to quote anything Kirk said, and neither of them could, and they laughed and admitted they never watched Kirk. That's crazy. The whole thing really opened my eyes about the seemingly literal brainwash that is being done. And now this Hassan stuff is really worrying me. Yeah, I've had people in my life bring up Hassan, like people who have never listened to him or cared about him, just knowing of his existence now. They never listened to him, never heard of him, but today my mom gleefully declared while watching Fox News cry about Hassan that Hassan should be shot. That's insane. I don't know anybody in my life that would go quite that far, but that's crazy. When I gasped in horror, both of my parents turned to me and broke into this evil cackling. Meanwhile, the entire freaking weekend, they've been crying and declaring all of us Democrats evil because of the dinner incident, which of course they only know what Fox News told them. They didn't know it was friendly fire that went off or that the person was above some floors away. Was it friendly fire that went off? That's so funny. At the dinner table, my brother got angry and started quoting Hassan without telling them who he was. It was all stuff my parents agreed with. When he told them they were Hassan quotes, they stared blankly and went quiet. I looked into their blank eyes and wondered if it had gotten through to him. Nope, fake news. He didn't say that. I think you saw an AI video. That's crazy. It's true though, like that's how fucking toxic this shit is. Sorry, I'm reading chat. I feel bad for these people. Absolutely. He said it because you can't identify with another person, but that's what representation is. Sorry, I don't know what you're on about, Big Mac. Still nothing. It was horrible. Big Mac, I don't know what you're on about. I'm sorry. Then I got mad. A big no-no in Italian-American families. Us women have to be meek and quiet servants. And asked about Nick Fuentes and all the horrible stuff he said about women. This guy? You tried to explain, try to summarize what you're trying to say, because your chat messages seem disconnected to me. Maybe it's my fault. I asked, why does he get to say all this horrible stuff and still hang around Trump and his buddies with no consequences? Well, their logic is he's right. Feminists are ruining this country. Are you a feminist? I got so mad that I left the dinner table and locked myself in my room. The next day, my dad pouted that I shouldn't leave the dinner table. It's rude. And I said agreeing with someone that women should be sexually assaulted is rude. Of course, my dad stopped talking to me for the rest of the day while my mom begged me to apologize to him. I won't. I'm done. I'm a grown woman who had to move back because of layoffs and I still can't find a job. The guy was arguing with me. It sucked. Oh. You mean like about Charlie Kirk? Because Charlie Kirk said you can't identify with another person? I'm trying to understand, Big Mac. I'm sorry. It could be my fault. Okay, grown woman, layoff, still can't find a job. Told my brother who moved in with his friend and family to escape that I'm going to give myself a stroke. I don't know who these people are anymore. He just told me to calm down and rolled his eyes, but I wish I could. I'm also taking tamoxifen for precancerous stuff, and it's not helping with my mood. I told my oncologist, and he said I just need to deal with the violent mood swings, but it's getting difficult. Sigh, thanks for letting me vent. Yeah, that's rough. Listen, it is rough to deal with family members like that, but the best advice I can give is just let it roll off the shoulders. Let it roll off the shoulders. It's really tough watching people that you know and love fall into this rabbit hole, but to us, after a certain point, arguing is not like... It's just not productive. I don't argue anymore with people like this. You know what I mean? Like, I do on for content, obviously. For content, I do it. But like in my personal life, like anybody who believes this kind of shit, what's there to talk about? What's there to argue about? If they want to argue, I'm not here to argue. I'm here to discuss with them, you know, whatever ideas they want to discuss. And I'll give my 2 cents. And if they don't see reason, if I have reached a point where they simply do not see reason, then it's pointless. It's pointless. You just let it go. And I know that's a lot easier said than done. Believe me, I know from personal experience, but just, I hate to say suck it up, but like, what the hell else are you even going to do? So anyway, that was QAnon casualties, just a couple of posts. If you guys like this segment, I might do more. Hi, thanks so much for watching and making it to the end of the video. I just wanted to let you all know that I love and appreciate everybody in my community, whether you can support me financially or just by liking, commenting, and sharing my videos. It helps way more than you know. That being said, I do want to give a very special thanks to my tier 4 subs, which would be Space Timid and Hot Take Andy. And thanks so much to my monetary subscribers from any of the tiered subs, or anybody who gives me money in any form, including going to my Patreon shop, donating money to me directly. It all helps way more than you know. If you do decide to help me financially, you can get some really cool perks like early access to content, exclusive access to censored videos, also some really cool badges next to your name. Even if you can't afford a monetary subscription, just watching, sharing, and commenting on my content helps way more than you know. Thanks again, and I will see you all in the next video.